You know, sometimes life doesn't give you the lesson first and the test later. It gives you the test first and the lesson much later. It took me 40 years of falling, failing, learning, and rising again to understand what I'm about to share with you in the next few minutes. And if you truly listen, really listen, this could save you decades of frustration, self-doubt, and waiting for permission to live your best life. 1. For emotions, the ultimate power. For years, I thought success was about strategy, the plan, the perfect routine, the perfect opportunity. But the truth is never the lack of resources, the lack of resourcefulness. Emotion is your fuel. You can have every tool, every connection, but if you live in fear, hesitation, or guilt, you'll never move. If you want to change your life, change your state. When you raise your energy, you raise your destiny. That's why every breakthrough begins with emotion, not logic. 2. Your story can imprison you or can set you free. We all carry stories about our past failures, our pain. For a long time, I told myself I wasn't enough, that I didn't come from the right background. Feeling others had the opportunities I didn't. But one day, I realized something powerful. The past does not equal the future. Your story is not who you are, it's what you believed you had to be. The moment you decide to rewrite that story, everything changes. Stop saying, I'm broke, stop, I'm becoming. Because life is not happening to you. It's not happening for you. ChatGPT says that the emotional portion is that drives every action, decision and result in our lives. It's not logic that changes, it's emotion. People don't get married because they calculated compatibility. They do it because they felt love. People don't start a business because as a spreadsheet told them to. They do it because they felt a spark of calling, a sense of purpose that moved them. It's why the quality of your life is the quality of your emotions. You can have everything, success, comfort, recognition, but if you live in fear, frustration, or doubt, you'll still feel poor. And on the other hand, you can have very little and still feel rich if your heart is full of gratitude, love, and passion. For years, I thought achievement was everything. I believed that once I reached certain goals, happiness would follow. But I learned the hard way that success without emotional mastery leads to emptiness. You've seen it, the millionaire who's miserable, the artist who gives up, the athlete who loses motivation after reaching the top. Why? Because they never learn to manage their states. Emotion is the fuel that keeps the engine your life running. When you raise your emotional energy, everything changes, focus sharpens, your creativity expands, and your courage awakens. You can't control every event in life, but you can always control what it means to you. That meaning shapes your emotions, and your emotions shape your destiny. When something painful happens, you have two choices. You can let it drain your energy, or you can use it to build strength. The difference lies in your emotional state. That's why it's so important to condition your mind and body daily. Move, breathe, focus, and train yourself to access empowering emotions, confidence, joy, determination, love. When you shift your emotion, you shift your experience instantly. Think about it. Have you ever been angry and suddenly laughed? The situation didn't change, but your emotion did, and so did your world. That's the power you carry within you every moment. Feeling emotion is the ultimate power because it transforms knowledge into action and dreams into reality to your growth. Once you must struggle into emotions, you don't just change how you feel, you change what's possible. Fear, every one of us carries a story about who we are, what we've been through, and what we believe we can or cannot do. These stories, the way we see the world and the way we see ourselves. The truth is, most people live inside a story that was written years ago, often by pain, fear, or the opinions of others. Maybe someone told you you weren't smart enough, strong enough, or worthy enough, and you believed it. Over time, that belief became a story, and that story became your identity. But the beautiful thing about life is that at any moment, you have the power to pick up the pen and rewrite it. I spent years telling myself kept me small. I told myself that my past defined my future, that my circumstances controlled my destiny. But one day, I realized something powerful. The story you tell yourself is either the prison that holds you or the key that sets you free. You can't always choose what happens to you, but you can choose what it means. Maybe your story isn't about failure, maybe it's about resilience. Maybe it's not about loss, maybe it's about growth. The moment you shift the meaning, you shift the story. And the moment you shift the story, you shift your life. We all get addicted to our stories because they give us certainty even when they cause pain. That's why changing them takes courage. You have to be willing to go to become who you can be. You have to say, yes, that was my past, but it is not my future. When you stop identifying with a little version of yourself, a new version begins to emerge, stronger, more alive. Your story is not written in stone, it's written in your mind. Every day you wake up, you're writing the next chapter. The question is, are you writing it consciously? Or are you letting old wounds hold the pen, choose to become the author, not the victim? Rewrite your story with purpose, passion, and power. When you do, you change your past. You redefine your future. There comes a point in life when you realize that no amount of achievement, wealth, or recognition can finish inside it if you're only emptiness inside, only living for yourself. For a long time, I thought success was about getting more results, more opportunities, more validation. But eventually, I discovered that life's deepest joy doesn't come from what you get, it comes from what you give. Contribution is the secret ingredient that transforms success into fulfillment. You can climb every mountain, reach every goal, and still feel unsatisfied if you're not making a difference in someone else's life. When you give, something powerful happens inside you. The moment you shift from what can I get you to what can I contribute, your energy changes. Your focus expands beyond your own problems, and suddenly life feels bigger, more meaningful, more connected. Contribution connects you to purpose, and purpose is the fuel that drives lasting happiness. It's the moment when your life stops being about accumulation and starts being about impact. That's when you realize fulfillment doesn't come from scarcity or fear, but from abundance and love. Giving doesn't always mean money or material things. Sometimes it is your time, your energy, your compassion, or simply your presence. It's the smile you give a stranger, the encouragement you offer a friend, the lesson you share that lifts someone else up. Every act of contribution, no matter how small, creates a ripple that touches lives far beyond what you can see. And what's even more beautiful is that more you give always comes because you always are back, multiply. The universe rewards a generous heart. The people who are truly fulfilled in life are ones who love to serve something greater than themselves. They understand that contribution and obligation is a privilege. When you make giving your way of life, you never run out of energy because contribution generates meaning and meaning fuels the soul. In a world obsessed with taking, be the one who gives. Give your love, your light, your wisdom itself. Because at the end of the day, success is temporary, but contribution is eternal. You becomes your legacy, and that's the real measure of a life well lived. Pain is one of life's greatest teachers, though most of us have spent years running from it. We avoid it, numb it, distract ourselves from it, believing that if we can just escape the discomfort, we'll finally be happy. But the truth is, pain is not our enemy, it's our compass. Every moment of pain carries a message, a lesson, an invitation to grow. The people who transform their lives are not the ones who never experience pain. They're the ones who decide to use it instead of fearing it. There were times when I thought pain was punishment, that life was unfair, that things were happening to me. But with time, I realized that every painful experience I faced was shaping me into who I needed to become. Feeling breaks down the walls of comfort and forces you to discover strength you didn't know you had. It pushes you to look deeper, to grow wiser, to appreciate joy more fully. Without pain, there's no contrast. And without contrast, there is no gratitude. Every setback, every heartbreak, every failure carries the seed of transformation. It only blooms if you choose to see it that way. The difference between people who stay stuck and those who rise is simple. The ones who rise ask better questions. Instead of saying, why has this happened to me? They ask, what is this trying to teach me? The shift in mindset turns suffering into strength. Pain doesn't disappear, but it becomes purposeful. Being the reason you break and starts being the reason you rebuild stronger. You can't control when pain comes, but you can control what you do with it. You can let it close your heart, or you can let it open you to compassion. You can let it define your limits, or you can let it expand your possibilities. Every scar you carry is proof that you survived something that once seemed impossible. Those scars aren't signs of weakness. They're medals of resilience. Pain is the price of growth, and growth is the pathway to greatness. When you stop fearing pain and start embracing it, you stop being a victim of life and become a student of it. And that's when pain stops breaking you and starts building you.